what I've been doing is I've been putting up messages and tweets and stuff through the day, that I've been thinking. So I have a little brain fart and I have a think. And one today, which was why it's so difficult to get a supporter of Israel to not only say Hamas attacked the music festival and that was an act of terror, right? Agreed. I agree with that. That's what I think. But also acknowledging that right now Israel is committing war crimes by bombing residential apartments and ambulances. I've had people respond to that seriously without lying by saying things like, what war crimes? It's like, I've just mentioned them.
Jesus.
But that is still out there. Except one of the things that happened today, speaking of Jesus, so this is a tweet I put out at 5 o'clock tonight. And it says this: Jesus, I just had two people make assumptions about me and my beliefs. I challenged them and they both apologized and withdrew their accusations. What the hell is happening? People being civil on Twitter? Am I in the upside down? I know, it's madness. And I wanted to show these to you, and this is going to flow into the conversation, and love to get your thoughts on this, people. Remember, you could even email us if you've got some thoughts about this idea of people making conclusions. And look, like I said at the start, I've done this before. I know I have, based on one tweet, one word, one conversation, all these things. So this is a thing that happened today. So I put out a tweet that said, it's interesting to observe that the people who complain that they're often incorrectly labeled Nazis are also right now often incorrectly labeling many as anti-Semitic. And then I got into a conversation with this guy, Matt. And Matt talked about glossing over 710, which was the attack in the music festival. And I said, who's glossing over the events of 710? Do you know who we are and what we do? Have you seen any content? If not, maybe you want to check your sources before making any accusations. So he says this: just been through your feed, no stories at all condemning the atrocities that I can find. A lot of condemning Israel for the supposed bombing of the hospital and proof that it wasn't a rocket after all. To which I responded, pity you think most of my commentary is on Twitter. You should check out the dozens of hours we do a month on YouTube. Then you'd know who we are and if various criticisms are accurate or not. Here's one, for example, although the follow-up mightn't be to your taste. And that was the one where one night we talked about the BBC reported that the rockets seemed like they came from within Gaza, and the next night forensic architects talked about the rockets were coming from the area where Israel was based. So it was actually us doing both of them. And then I said, also, you didn't look very hard, as I spent 2 minutes scrolling back to October 31st, where I said, quote, the atrocious acts of Hamas when they brutally murdered innocent festival goers. This is when you retract and apologize, in case you're wondering. Then I said also, actually, I've even tweeted today that, quote, Hamas attacked the music festival was an act of terror. So he says, I haven't seen any of your anywhere on Twitter, and it's all over my Twitter feed. And he has come back saying, having said that, he said, I didn't see you mention it. How many posts accusing Israel of bombing the hospital? Did you retract and apologize? Having said that, if your YouTube content is fair and balanced, which seems unlikely based on your X feed, I do withdraw and apologize. My time wasn't allowed to trawl through your whole content, to which I invited Matt to come and watch tonight. So if you're watching, Matt, kia ora. Nice to have you with us. So he withdrew and apologized. So there's one. Then something else happened, and I'll have to show you. When I said that thing I tweeted today about the Hamas attack of the music festival as an act of terror, you can see here that there's a deleted post, but I took a screenshot here after that. 1 month late, Pat. Okay, fair enough. My response is, you're adorable, trying to tell me what I do and don't do. On the second show after the attack at the music festival, we said this. And then I said, Matt was adult enough to withdraw and apologize. If you're an honest actor, this will be your chance to man up. And that's the one where, do you remember we were talking and you said something like, there might be reasons for Hamas. And I went, no. There are no reasons for flying into, we're doing it off the top of our dome. There's no criticism. We were just kind of talking it out. And we said in there as well, that's actually the video where we said, I said my heart is with the people of Gaza, but I reject and rebuke the actions of Hamas. So that was the day after. That was our second chance to possibly speak about it. And he said, fair enough, sorry, I'll delete my tweet. So we had people today on Twitter, as crazy as it sounds, withdrawing and apologizing, Chewy. And
Madness, don't believe it.
I know, it's crazy to think. But the other thing about it, and this is the thing that sucks more, right? The thing that sucks more is that I probably spent an hour, no, half an hour of my time today on that Twitter stuff. And I don't normally do it, but I'm like, no, fuck you guys. You know, cast your aspersions. Now I'll prove you wrong. Now back down. And they did, to their credit. So I give them credit for that. But it did make me start to think about when we make these assumptions. So these people have made their assumptions based on a singular tweet without any history as to who I am or who we are or what this is. And I just wonder, do we just go, nah, they're never going to know, let's not worry about it? Or do we put time into going, actually, you're wrong, look here? Like, do we waste our time doing that or not? And that's the question I was kind of left with at the end of the day. Do we put our time into actually saying, you guys need to understand that you're wrong, this is where you're wrong, now retract and apologize? Or do we just go, you guys are trolls, you're trolling your troll-like substance, you're never going to get it, I'm moving on. And I don't know the answer to that. If anyone in the tweet and the chat's got any thoughts around that, happy to hear them.
Look, I don't know. I love an online fight as much as the next person. And I love an honest discussion as well. Like, I'm happy to move my position with a convincing argument or the right evidence. But it doesn't happen. Like, what you've got, we've all said it's fucking lightning in a bottle. Someone comes in hot, accuses you of something, and then you're going, well, look, I could provide all of this evidence. This guy wants me to run and present the evidence and put the links there and go back through my Twitter feed, find this, that, and the other thing. And then I'll do all of that, and then he's still going to turn around and call me a fucking Nazi.
Yeah.
Or,
like what Gareth's saying, it's also a lot of work. It's a lot of work to justify tweets to one Twitter jerk, yeah.
It's a lot of work. And you know what's much easier? Insulting the guy's mum and then blocking him. So I mean, when people talk about, where's the art of debate gone? Like, that's the thing. People will get away with so much more on social media than they would if you were having a discussion over a beer.
Yeah.
And that's what people sort of equate it to, right? Is like suddenly and I'm not saying that society depends on a threat of violence, but you're much more measured in your response face to face, because the person might just reach across the table and slap you. But online, there's no fear. You hide behind a handle. It's not even your real name. Who knows where you are?
Yeah,
that sort of thing. And people just go off the chain, and you can't debate, or it's very hard to debate something with a little bit of nuance.
Yeah.
Of going, well, look, I don't support Hamas, but I know where they came from. I understand why they're there.
Yep.
It is not saying I wholeheartedly agree with all of their actions and causes. It's fucking nuts. But that's what you'll get. You get pushed into a binary corner.
The other thing is you can't convince everybody. And like I don't, you guys know this, you know this too. I don't often actually interact much on Twitter. It's because I've got more things to do. Maybe it's because I'm home alone at the moment. That I've had a bit more time to look at it, which I haven't really had because I spent the whole day in the studio. But I wanted to give you an example of the other extreme, right? Which is sometimes people, no matter what, they just refuse. So this is another interaction. Same tweet. Both statements are true that, there was an act of terror by Hamas and that Israel is committing war crimes. Chloe and Golraz, to name two. That's because so this is a response to when I said I don't know of any pro-Palestinian commentators who haven't denounced them. And this person said Chloe and Golraz, to name two. When Phil Twyford tried to bring it up at the Free Palestine rally and pointed out Hamas atrocities, he was booed off the stage. I'll keep looking for you. So he's already mentioned one person that did do it, which was Phil Twyford, because he said he did do it when he was booed off the stage. And then he mentioned Chloe and Golraz, to which I went to the statement they released, which says the attack by Hamas on Israeli civilians was unconscionable and constitutes the gravest of war crimes. So it's as easy as that. And I do feel like now people are just choosing to be ignorant. Like when someone said to me, and I nearly said, are you being serious? But I didn't bother interacting. When someone said to me on Twitter feed today that what war crimes, they actually asked that question. I'm like, people are just being willfully ignorant. And it's a little bit like, I don't know, it's this tribalism we have it's actually okay to say that your side has done something bad. It's actually appropriate to say your side has done something bad. And we've had this conversation numerous times about ideology versus intelligent debate. An ideologue thinks they're always right. An ideologue thinks their side's always right. We know by human nature, we know with an ounce of intelligence that we're not always going to be right. Sometimes we're going to be wrong. So if you're always supporting the same cause and you always think they're right, sometimes you're going to be wrong. And it's fine if you are, if you are on the side of Israel, or if you're Israeli, or if you're Jewish, to support Israel, to support the Jewish state, to support Jews in general, and still go fucking war crimes at the moment. You can actually do both things. And I've got something to play for you, because I love Talkback, and the best Talkback host in the world's name is James O'Brien from LBC in the UK, and I'm going to play you something shortly. But before I do that, Chewy, you got anything else you want to wrap up with about this part of the conversation?
I like that chat about ideology. I've spoken on the show several times about how important like Anzac is to me and that sort of thing. But right when this kicked off, one of the things that I pointed out is that our soldiers overseas did some horrific things in Palestine. You can't acknowledge one thing and be a big fan and it's be hugely important to your makeup and that sort of thing. If that can't hold strong against criticism or acknowledging, like not every New Zealand soldier overseas was a fucking angel that only did pure and good things, that some of them did nasty things and for colonial reasons and all of that sort of stuff, then your ideology is not worth shit. Like you can sit here, like I 100% believe that the state of Israel deserves to exist, that the Jews need a homeland and that sort of thing. It gets real fucking murky when there's someone else living there. It gets real murky when they're using apartheid laws in Palestinian areas. They're forcing people from their homes and giving them to random Jewish people that have come from Brooklyn. That's real muddy. And it can be a nuanced thing, and you can sit there and hold. If you can't hold two thoughts in your head at the same time that perhaps run counter to each other and just thrash that out, then you need to get out of the pool.
Yep.
That's the only way anything ever changes.
And the clip.
I saw a comment in the chat there. You never trust any Israeli. That's bullshit. It's. There are people in Israel that go to jail because they don't want to serve in the IDF, but they don't believe what the IDF stands for. There are people protesting against this now. There are people outside Netanyahu's house now calling for his resignation. You just can't tar. It'd be the same if you went all Palestinians support Hamas. You can't prove that. It's demonstrably wrong. You can't do that. If you can't have a bit of nuance in your discussion, you're just on such shaky ground.
There's protests happening, I think, at the Statue of Liberty at the moment, and I believe one of the speakers there is a literal Holocaust survivor, was in the camps, who is speaking on behalf of Palestinians. So it kind of brings me across to the next part of this conversation as well. This guy is James O'Brien. If you don't know of him, you should look him up on YouTube. He's the best talkback host in the world. I am a bit of a fanboy of James O'Brien. He's just spent 7.5 minutes talking with a woman about Gaza and Israel. He's just spent the time where she's been talking about compassion for the people of Gaza, and she's been saying all the pro-Palestinian marches end in violence, to which he debunked and took her argument apart and actually had facts and figures to say how that wasn't the case. And she also said that no Jewish person would ever attend those marches. It was too scary, to which again he debunked her and he took her apart and he said, all these people who were actually Jewish people who were standing up for Palestinians within those marches as well. And they get to the end of the conversation. This is what you just said, Chewy, the two ideas. And what I've just said about you're either fully supportive, 100% for us, or you're 100% against us. And how, in reality, we should be able to support something and still criticize it when necessary. So she's been spending a good amount of this time talking about she has compassion for the people of Israel and the people who are marching are violent. Right, that's a bit of the background to the wrap up of this conversation. Let me play it for you.
Just before you go, where is your expression? I know you would avail yourself of this opportunity, your compassion for the people being killed in Gaza now.
Absolutely. I said that straight away. I said that earlier on. I said I do not want to see any innocent civilians, and it's horrific, and it's heartbreaking. And I read an article.
So would you call for it to end then?
I would call for Israel to do whatever it can to.
Well, you can't have it both ways, can you?
It's called self-defense.
Okay, well, that's not called compassion then.
And they've
no, that's fine.
all the residents to move.
We got there in the end.
It is compassion, of course there is compassion.
Well, no, because the people marching are calling for a ceasefire, and you're calling for it to continue, while claiming that, while complaining that that other people aren't being compassionate. So the people calling for the killing to end are the angry ones, who are causing fear, and you calling for it to continue are the compassionate one. Do you see where you've ended up, Anna?
No, but
no,
Israel
you probably don't, do you?
There you go. There's the he's I mean, like, he's the art of talkback. He's brilliant at. But the point being, that's an example of not being able to hold those two positions. That she's a supporter of Israel, but yeah, you know, bomb away, do whatever you want. It's like, it doesn't work that way in life. And that's what we're seeing when we're talking about these free speech people who are free speech, or don't say that. I don't like that, so you can't say that. As people have been saying in the text, you know, free speech for me, but not for thee. Free speech on our terms. It's the same sort of thing. And I'll say it again. I mean, I'm not trying to big up us, but one thing that people won't be able to criticize us off is we're consistent. You know, we walk and chew gum. This is a present I got from the lovely Chewy and his wife. Look, the sign here. We walk and chew gum.
You've said that so much we had to get it down.
So that's what we do, because people are like, I mean, I kind of got a shiver up my back. One of my tweets I put out today, the Free Speech Union liked. It's like, you guys aren't.
That's weird.
Yeah, you're not free speech. But what I was saying was what we believe, or what I believe, and it's consistent. And then when they show inconsistency, it feels a bit weird that it feels like they're kind of trying to bounce off the back of what other people are saying around speech, and about, you know, I think it was the tweet about the people saying we shouldn't be called Nazis are the ones currently calling people anti-Semites. It was that tweet, and they liked it. I'm just like, you guys, this is not who you authentically are. It's just not who you authentically are. So I don't really know what to do with this conversation, to be really frank with you, but I just thought I wanted to have it. I wanted to show you guys some stuff, and to go, you know, to our detractors out there. I never say come at us, because I don't want conflict. I don't want to. I know Chewy does, but he's off Twitter now, so I'm guessing I'm the only one who gets come at. And maybe the lesson here, okay, so maybe the lesson here for me, you guys can take it on board if you want, is not to judge or assume based on one interaction. I've done it, you know. I see one tweet about an overreach by the government or a mandate, and I go, oh, yep, I know who you are, I know everything about you. Because even if you're right, even if it's accurate, the assumption you make, you just take a couple of points of evidence. Get 2 or 3 points of evidence before you make a decision. I'm speaking to myself there. Anyway, anything else for that, Chewy?
I mean that's what we've been conditioned, right, over the last 2-3 years, right? As sometimes certain buzzwords or trigger words will just tell you all you need to know about a person, right? You know, someone calls Jacinda Ardern a tyrant. I probably don't need to look into anything more than that. I'm happy to put it. But yeah, there's maybe not with that particular example, but there are other things where you can go, oh, someone's talking about government overreach or something like that, and you go just a little bit too far. But yeah, more points of data added to your position, stronger position.